Adrian Austin Mukalazi is my name, and today we are looking at something also so pertinent. We know today is a Wednesday, and every Wednesday we discuss finances. So today we want to look at some of the common financial mistakes that we make. Common financial mistakes, and what is important is how to avoid them. Is there a way we can avoid them? That is what we want to get into today. Before we get into the details of today's episode of Family Hour, I would like to introduce to you Dr. Rumanzi Benita Bushari. He is the director of Africa Population Institute. It's a pleasure having you, Doctor, this evening.
Oh, thank you very much, Adrian. I'm glad to be here tonight, yet to share more nuggets of truth to the people who are watching us tonight.
We are glad to have you. We know you should be busy, and not even you should, you are busy. But each time you spare some time for us, we are glad.
Yeah, God gives us the grace. Whenever we are called upon to serve, whenever we are called upon to minister, we are always available.
Amen.
So you share what you have, and sharing is caring. Thank you.
Doctor, how is Africa Population Institute?
Yeah, Africa Population Institute, of course, as an institution of higher learning and also an NGO or non-government organization, we are thriving slowly, and we are impacting lives and transforming generations in a number of ways. The services we deliver and the course and tailored down programs that we have that especially help the youth to be self-reliant in the works that they do. So that's what we always do at Africa Population Institute. We do mentorship. We help the youth to learn how they can survive in these waves of life.
Okay, thank you so much. Today we want to look at some of the common mistakes that the financial mistakes that we tend to do. Of course, we know that very many people, especially people in the other upper stairs, laugh at us, the youth. They say we do not know how to manage our finances, but sometimes we do some mistakes unknowingly. We don't know that what we are doing is actually a financial mistake, and that is what I want us to get into details today. Maybe to start with, can you break down for us some of these mistakes, that financial mistakes that we omit?
Okay, this topic, I think it was carefully planned and orchestrated for such an evening. And the importance of managing finances and maintaining family wealth is pertinent to life. And there are very few common mistakes. We call them common because almost everyone does that. Yeah, there are mistakes that people do, but once you know it, the Bachiga, we have a saying, when you are digging, when you see a stone, you cannot go ahead and hit your hole there. So you won't destroy it. So meaning, today we are going to teach you these common mistakes and how to avoid them. First and foremost, very many people do not make budgets. You will find few families which do not know how to create budgets. So they just spend anyhow. As money comes in, is the way it goes. So it is called the leaking basket. Whichever money gets into the basket, it comes out. So that is number one. Number two, there is no saving for emergencies. I'm telling you, whenever an emergency occurs or arises, people who have planned prior will have kept some money to come out of those emergencies. When I was learning economics at the university, we learned about Keynesian theory. Keynes advised us to always keep money for precautionary motive. So you keep some little money just in case today you don't go to work, just in case an emergency comes in. So now the ZZ phenomenon of Zenkola Zenya, it has to end. People have to keep some money. So that is a culture of saving. Then there are also another mistake that people do by overspending and then being indebted. So please avoid spending that you have not pre-planned. That's why at the beginning we said you need to make a budget, and then you save some money for precautionary motive, and then now spend only if you must spend. If I have planned for my expenditure, even if I go to the market or to the shop and I find something, even if it is very beautiful and very attractive, if I have not budgeted for it, I shouldn't be in a position to go with it. Maybe I can go and put it in the next budget, but not that very budget. So to avoid debt, do that. Then there is also lack of investment planning. Those are now 4 points that I've given. Lack of investment planning. Many people always want to spend money, especially people who are salary earners. You know that at the end of the month, I'm receiving my cut, and this is how I'm going to allocate it. I pay rent, I pay for transport, I eat this much, I put this much in dressing, and that's all.
If you have any saving in the early 20s, then you have to spend it to its maximum, because a new income is coming in.
Yes, yes. And this is a very big mistake. So please, let's look at the investment opportunities that are available. However little your money is, invest it in something that can generate more income. An investment, actually, it is where you put money, but you are expecting a return. Yeah, not just saving. Saving is when you keep it in the pocket or you keep it in the bank and it is not adding on. But if I say I'm investing in the bank still, I would put it on a fixed deposit. And on a fixed deposit, I'm sure that at the end of the month, at the end of the year, I'm able to get some return out of it. Let me give you the last one. The last one is not monitoring the credit reports. People don't follow the credit reports. Last time we were here on this set, we talked about the credit worthiness. And credit worthiness is also an asset. If I'm credit worthy, it means anytime I can access finances and use it for the benefit of what I want to do. But if I am not credit worthy, even 10,000 will be very hard for you to get. So please, once you have some debt or credit, make sure you monitor it, you monitor the report, and you know how to pay it back. So those are the common methods, common mistakes, but we shall be dealing with one by one on how to avoid them.
Exactly. I think one of the most pertinent mistake you talked about is overspending. And I think some people are just addicted to overspending, to them having money, giving them unrest.
Let me tell you, there is a saying that says that money has wings. No matter what, it has to fly away. Look at the people who hit the jackpot. You get a jackpot today of $4 million. I'm telling you, you'll become so crazy and you have to spend it until the last penny. But what you have to do, you need to have financial literacy or financial education. Learn how to manage finances. And that's why people who begin little by little, precept upon precept, end up being successful in businesses than those who actually land into the things. Like maybe your father was very rich and then they make you the heir and all of a sudden you have millions of money on the account and you are not the one who made that money. You don't know what it took to make that money and you did not sweat for it. Chances are you can spend it anyway, anyhow.
You reminded me of a situation that happened to me. Sometime back, I think I just opened some account in some bank. Then at around 2 a.m., I get this text message that some huge sum of money had been deposited on my account. Trust me, I lost sleep. In the next 1 minute, I had a piece of paper. I was now highlighting whatever I was going to do, how to spend all that money. Unfortunately, the next, I think, 3 or 4 minutes, money was again removed of my account. So I don't know how that happened in the night. But anyway, so that is, I think that is really very, very.
Did you follow it up? Because it could have been a
roundering.
It could have been a financial roundering and going through your account. So you needed to have followed
the account was frozen. So I was prompted to go back to the bank, and now the bank engaged the police, and so the bank followed up the case, and eventually,
how did it end? Because we need to see the end, how it justified the means. We understand. You need to help someone who gets that.
No, I went to the bank, and I told them I received this message in the night at 2 a.m. I showed them the message. So they told me to go to police, report the case, then bring back the file number to the manager. I took the file number to the manager. Then I think they involved in a lot of people, so they were only calling me in case of any update. But eventually they told me, I think someone was hacking accounts and then depositing money on people's accounts so that they get this money at once from an account.
Yeah, that's so
why I later they got that person. Later they got that person, and I don't know how it all ended. What I was interested in, banking, but anyway, they sorted my case. And okay, you talked about overspending and no savings for emergency. But how can individuals prioritize their spending to avoid this problem of overspending and then maybe accumulate some savings?
All these things have been tested. Like as an economist, I did rural economy at the beginning of my bachelor's degree. I did rural economy, and we learned about the scale of preference, whereby you make an order to which wants are supposed to be certified. We know that resources are always scarce, therefore you have to make a choice. And the alternative you forego is what we call the opportunity cost. So in that case, for those who are watching us, please, to avoid spending, you need to make that scale of preference from the need that you feel this one you can't do without, up to the last one which you can do just as a by the way. And then you prioritize and begin with the first. Then what you forego is what we call the opportunity cost. But in most cases, people just spend anyhow without making that a scale of preference. So you need to learn that.
Okay, because sincerely speaking, people don't know about that scale of preference. I mean, for you just to know, when I get money, sometimes we are just excited. So as you're walking, you find this nice shirt and say, by the way, I think it's been a while when I last bought myself a new shirt. You end up buying it when it wasn't even on your day's budget. When
it was not on the day's budget, and yet you find yourself with many shirts in your closet that you don't even put on. You don't even have time to put on, and yet you have other pressing needs that you should have spent the money on. So this is why now you need to know it in a layman's language. A scale of preference is like prioritizing how to spend money, beginning with the most important thing to the least important.
So is it the reason landlords keep on coming to our homes and they say, you're even eating meat instead of paying my rent?
Yeah, it is. Meat, of course, you can't, if you prioritize, you can't, food is a necessity, and you can't do without it.
They want you to eat beans.
No, but in most cases, do you know that beans are more expensive than meat? When I put a calculation, people don't understand that. The charcoal or the fuel that you use to cook beans would cook half meat. So in that case, if someone spent more on buying meat, will spend less on cooking it than spending more on buying, on cooking beans, which you bought less money. So that is something science that we shall look at maybe at a later stage.
Why is this budget very important in avoiding mistakes, financial mistakes?
Yeah, like at the beginning of every year, as families, if you want to maintain the legacy, family legacy with wealth, you need to always prioritize and know how much money you need and what you need to accomplish in that year. In most cases for us, we always make a resolution. We say this is a New Year's resolution. This year we are probably building this stuff and it must be complete. And when you put all your efforts to that, even if something comes in as a by the way, that one will be catered from the other contingency fund, which we call the 15%. People call it miscellaneous. But miscellaneous is like, that is the free money that you just spend. But me, I would call it contingency fund. It is like the other money which you keep for emergency. It is not miscellaneous which you just spend anyhow, but it is for emergency purposes. So when you are budgeting, you know that this year, this is what we are going to accomplish, or this quarter. Ideally, it is beautiful to budget quarterly, because the whole year people don't even see it coming in the horizon. But when you budget quarterly, every 3 months, you know that this is what I want to accomplish. Please just know that it is possible. You can accomplish much with the little or meager resources. I have seen people who work in the same organization, probably they earn the same salary, but some are more successful than the other. Not because others are using dubious means, but because they are actually budgeting well, planning well, and they are financially literate.
Okay.
Yeah.
What happens if I have my budget that, I mean, budget for emergency funds, I put them aside, and then my emergencies exceed the budget I have? What happens? What should I do in such a situation? For instance, I have maybe I set aside 200,000 for a month as an emergency fund, and then I get emergencies of 1 million. Yet I've already budgeted for the other money also. What should I do in such a situation?
That is why now you utilize the other credit worthiness. At that time, you can actually get a credit if you are credit worthy, and then be able to foot that emergency. And once it is done, you find a way of paying back. Actually, in paying back, there is what we call the snowball kind of score, whereby you pay. When I was doing some literature in O-level, we read the book The Things Fall Apart by Kinwachevi. And it was Things Fall Apart.
No, Snowball is in Things Animal Farm.
More or less, it had Okonko. And Okonko, I think he used the snowball kind of paying debt payment or debt clearance. He had to list all the debts that he had, beginning from the smallest to the biggest. And then whenever someone came in to demand for their money, he would show them the list. Yeah, he would show them the list and say, I'm going to begin with the high to the lowest. Then whenever the other one comes with the lowest, he says, I'm going to begin up and down. But that one was avoidance, which is not the snowball. The kind of snowball we are talking here is where you prioritize and clear all the debts from the small one up to the last, and you'll be very determined to clear all of them. So all you have to do is list all the debts that you have, and then those debts also put them on that scale, a wing scale, and know which one you prioritize. Then start paying them one by one by knocking off. We call it knock off. You knock one off, you tick it, and you know that one is done. And that is how people clear the debts. And once you've done that, you will have saved yourself a big deal. Then there is also another strategy of saving. The last time we were here, we talked about the Jewish kind of saving, which is 50, 30, 20, 10. The 10 being that goes back to God, and then the 20 being that goes to the charity, and then the 30 is what you live on, and then the 50 is what you do. You save. You save for what? So we need to know also, once you are getting this money, am I supposed to spend all of it? Because once you know that you are not supposed to spend all of it, then you will know how much you need to save. Today I saw on your profile when you had put a very big tin of money, and you are saying, "Please show me a car bond where I can."
Do they open on Wednesday?
Yes, on Wednesday a car bond. I'm like, look at this young man. Ideally, you saving for the car. When you do like that and you put money there, you will be wasting money. Keeping it, by the time you make money to buy a car that you have been putting it just in one place, that is wastage. I would say let it keep in business, and then as you proud back the profit, and then the profit is what you reciprocate, and then make what, and be able to buy what you want. But if you just keep on depositing it there, what if a thief breaks into your house? Or what if that emergency we talked about comes in? Because money, we said that it has wings, it can fly.
Yeah.
Money attracts problems. The moment you get money and keep it just on you and it has nothing to do, you will find someone who has an emergency and is able to use it. And he will borrow it from you. And you will give it to him or her willingly. At the end of the day, when he fails to pay, you start crying. Because you didn't know how to use that money. Someone else will help you how to spend it. Yeah, so you need to be on target and know this is how I spend my money. When it comes in, I'm going to save this, I'm going to spend this, and I'm going to give away this. And that's how you become successful in managing.
Someone would say, I don't want to keep my money in the house, like the tin I had on my status, and then they say, take the money, maybe I save it with some circle, or I save it in the bank. Is that a wise measure?
Yeah,
strategy?
A wise strategy is when you are investing this money. Yes, I can put it there, but when I have strings attached, to be sure that if I save it with this circle, maybe at the end of a month, there is some commission they are adding on top of it. I don't want to see it remain as it was. Because, remember, this money is fighting inflation. What 10,000 could do last year, the 10,000 of today cannot do it. Do you know that?
Yes.
Because money is somehow losing value, and there is inflation. So to avoid that, you must put your money where you are sure that there is an addition or multiplicative in nature, and it is actually increasing in value.
Okay. We are taking a short commercial break. When we return, we are now going to something very, very interesting. That is now lifestyle audit. I know the Inspectorate of Government came up with a strategy of lifestyle audit. And we're going to talk about lifestyle because this is another very, very big problem when it gets to financial mistakes. We are coming back shortly. Stay tuned.
Family Hour, empowering families one episode at a time. Together, we build strong, healthy, and thriving families with our daily dose of inspiration and expert insights on topics that matter, like education and career growth.
A child may be a good entrepreneur, but you're forcing the child to make sure that she passes sciences in order for her to be a what? A nurse.
Family health.
No one should one day tell you that, hey, since you have diabetes, you should not take Caro. That's a lie. There's what we call portion control.
Finance and wealth.
Keep track of your spending. And part of the spending, of course, as we said, be able to separate wants from needs. That's secondary.
Leadership and governance.
There are people who take on the political aspect and try to water down important, significant decisions we leaders take for the good of this country.
Not forgetting parenting.
Now you're raising kids or children who are in a totally different time. You get it. Those days your mother would just give you an eye and you know this is a problem.
Hey, they are visitors.
And it's just there are visitors
and
around.
Mom gives you this eye, you know?
Yes.
Catch more of this every Monday to Friday at 9 p.m.
Welcome back from that commercial break. Here we are back with the Family Hour. This is our second and last part of today's edition. So it is important that you pay much attention. We are looking at some of the financial mistakes that we omit. Most importantly, we are looking at how you can avoid them. Of course, in the other part, we looked at most of these mistakes. Now we want to look at how you can avoid them, or how you can control them. Of course, in the break, my producer was asking that when you talk about lifestyles, so do you expect me, who works for Church of Uganda Family TV, because I'm earning maybe 800,000, to go and sleep in a house of 100,000, so that I'm hit by by thieves in the night, simply because I'm trying to manage my lifestyle? And that will be an answer that Doctor will give us. I think we start from there, Doctor. That was a very interesting one.
It is very interesting, and I would like to first advise people. Depending on how much you earn, you can find the level that you fit in. You may not sleep in that house of 100,000, where the thieves can break in the night and come and attack you and take it away. But there are other things that you do to save money. You find someone is working with Church of Uganda Family TV, but is staying in Maganjo, or is staying in where? In Bweyogerere. So in that case, find out how much time do you spend in the jam to get to work. And can you find a nearby house, however much it may be expensive, but it will be near, whereby even when you don't have money, you can walk to work, not as a protest, but not as a protest, but because you initiate it. Like, in most cases, I cannot even advise people to walk to work, because in the morning when you are coming to work, you need to come when you're smart, when you're not sweating. But walking back home is something that you can do as an exercise. Can we also save that little money when you are walking back home? For the meantime, for the beginning.
You've reminded me when I used to stay in Mukono. And so if you say you walk half journey, of course the far you can go is Seta. But transport remains the same, so you've not saved anything.
You have not saved anything. So that is a wisdom issue. That is a financial wisdom issue that you need to address. Okay. So once you know that this is my job or duty station, then let me see the things to minimize. First and foremost, the cost of transport. 2 is the cost of feeding. If I find that maybe, like for you people who work here in the middle of the town, feeding is very expensive or it is very hard, can you opt to pack your own lunch? Can we also look at that as a way of saving the money that would be spent on lunch? So let's look at the alternative ways of saving the little money that you have in order to save. People who are buying and building houses right now, you may go for a cheap place which is maybe 30 or 40 kilometers away from the city center, because the land is bought less. And then you find that there is land which is nearby in the vicinity, which is slightly a bit expensive. But when you consider the long run, I would rather go for the one which is expensive but have that proximity, than going for the one which is very cheap and is very far. Because very far, it means that's where you're going to put your home, and you're going to commute every single day, driving, going and coming, forth and back, taking children to school, forth and back. So now, if you were having financial literacy and planning, or you had a financial mentor, and you asked such a question, you posed it to him, he would advise you and say, go for this, or save a little bit more money and buy a little bit nearer. Because in the case of emergency, this is how you do it. So all those are just the financial wisdom which is taught in financial literacy. So that's why I tell people, please endeavor to have financial education. Even if you are a non-financial manager, a quest for learning. There is a lot of resource online about financial literacy. Learn much more. Then have the lifestyle audit. You talked about lifestyle before we went. Yeah, a lifestyle. Some people live lifestyle which is beyond the measure, the level they are on, which is not commensurate to the level they are on. So, can you find your level? You go to, say, a wedding meeting, and you are there because they know, Edwin Mukaras works with the Church of Uganda Family TV, which is a very reputable organization.
So they provoke you to give $1 million.
They provoke you because you don't want to be ashamed. You say you are giving $1 million in pledge, and yet you know that your salary is maybe $1 million shilling. Which means if you give this $1 million shilling to this person, how much are you going to survive on? Remember, you have to pay transport, you have to feed, you have to do what, pay rent and the like. So let's look at this. Let's live within our means. Instead of like trying to appease people, like to show off, please, let's not be showbiz.
Doctor, there is a problem now I'm seeing. For instance, when we get to the city center here, especially on Kampala Road here, it is very hard to find lunch that goes below 6,000. And I mean, you have to eat.
You have to eat in order to work.
So what are you going to do in such a situation? You're trying to minimize your expenditure. If someone walked maybe up to Owino, they could find food of 3,000 or 4,000. But I mean, you also look at the time. You leave Kampala Road to Owino to get, by the time you come back to Church House, you're already hungry. So a situation like that where you are, the cost of living is a little high, and the only option you have is to adapt by it. So how can you now survive in such a situation?
I will give an example of the problem in the United States. There is the city of New York. That is the city with probably the highest cost of living, but yet it is the city that has many hustlers, whereby people live in, they say if you can live in New York, you can live anywhere, because for them, they have to have survival skills. Not like they are wheeling or they are pickpocketing, but you have to think in order to survive. People have to park their own cars and use trains. That is because at the end of the day, if you drive your own car, the money that you're going to spend in parking alone is far much more than the money that you would probably pay for the train. Then then the cost of food. If you walk into the restaurant, how much money that you spend in that place. So someone who is very innovative now considers having their lunch packed from home. You buy good food and cook it very well, spend a little much more on buying a food flask and carry, which is very presentable, and carry your food flask to the workplace. So I'm just giving an example because it is just a food for thought. What I'm giving you is not like a gold truth or like it is not like a gold standard. Yes, but I'm trying to teach you to be very innovative on how to save the little money that you have, and that one will help you to manage the debt and the credit, to make sure that you are not indebted and you don't sink into the debt.
We have another very big problem, and I would call them financial scammers or financial scams and frauds. Of recent, we had a Ponzi scheme where very many people, very many Ugandans were deprived of their money, and we have very many of these. Some are online, some have even gone ahead to advertise. But I mean, in the quest of investment, people have been fed with a lot of information, and because they are gullible, maybe somehow they end up falling for that information, and now that is where the problem comes in. How can people be guard themselves against these financial frauds?
Financial scammers are always there. People are not sleeping. They are thinking every day on how to survive. They are thinking on how to survive. So for that case, someone who comes up with an idea on how to dwindle money from your pocket. That's why what we talked about before, we said that if you have some money and it has nothing to do, someone else is going to utilize it for you. So this is how to avoid financial scamming. One thing is, actually this is a gold standard now, is if something is too glittering, just know that that thing is not gold. Gold is a little bit bland. Someone who comes to you and is trying to offer to you what he can't offer to himself, what he can't offer to a brother or a sister, first think, who do you think you are to this person? He comes and tells you that if you put money in this circle or in this thing, this is how much money you're going to reap in the shortest time possible. There is, you can market investing in $200, at the end of a month you get $1,000. Let's put in the math, let's put in the calculus really. Is it financially viable? If this guy knew that by putting in $200 you will get $1,000 at the end of the month, this man will go and borrow all the money and put in the 200 by himself so that he can get the 10,000 at once. But because he's trying to show,
they wish me luck.
No. There is nothing like wishing you luck. Let me tell you, all network marketings are scam. I can repeat it with everyone who is looking at me right now. Network marketing, they are scams. Because I have tried, before I made a choice, never to join any of them. I told you how we had someone who was a good orator. He would talk about some network marketing. I will not mention the name on the side. And he would feel like if I don't join this experience, I am finished. But later on, I found this person hawking drugs on the Kampala road, and the dust was all over this person. But when it is time to talk, you would say, this one has talked. And when I realized that these people are actually talking and they are being used by someone else because they are orators, I said I will never join any network marketing. And because of that, I'm telling you, I've been able to save the would-be money to be dwindled or to be stolen. And now I can stand and say, me, I don't make a loss and I don't lose any money because of the financial literacy that I have invested in to learn so that I don't fall a culprit of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about now? This is a big problem. You know, you're on Kampala Road, and as you walk, you find every day you find a new phone on market. They tell you this is the latest. This is the latest from this company. So this company has just produced this one. This one is just ours on the market, and we have people who are impulse purchasers.
This one I will talk about it because there is a certain man of God that I usually pray with, and I'm sure he's watching me today. And yes, he was saving some money. He wanted to do something, and because as he was moving towards maybe realizing what he wanted, he reached their Kampala Road, like you said, and he found those phones now telling him, oh, this phone, it has been on promotion, it should have been this much, and now this is how it is.
Pay this and then Sasura and Paula.
And because of the impulse purchase, the man of God just ended up buying another phone when he actually had another phone. Then I'm like, but now the other need, what about it? Because this is why we say, let's set a scale of preference and know what do we need first.
We actually putting it on Kampala Road. But if you go to places like Ham or through a window, there are these ones who even pull you and drag you closer to their selling point so that you can at least buy a pair of trousers from them or a shirt or something like that.
And this is what we need to demystify tonight, because if you do that, then you are not learning anything from what we are talking tonight. So avoid that, and let's understand investment options so that you know, if I invest here, I'm able to get something out of it, rather than impulse purchasing. Impulse purchasing is bad, and I used to see it with many women. A woman can just go even when she's going to buy a dress and comes back with what?
A bag.
With a bag and then remembers I needed a dress or what. But in most cases, let's avoid that. So then let's also avoid the predatory lending practices. There are these guys who come with the loans, like a case reference, I know, like this. People say, let me use the example of a phone. People say, don't put my money on MTN because I have a debt. Put it on my Airtel. Put it on my Airtel. Do you know what that means? It means that this guy took this loan from the phone and is unable to pay it right now, and again is trying to find another date. If someone tells you that it is obvious that this person was unable to pay this date, and therefore even you is not going to pay you, or that those are predatory kind of lending and borrowing. You just borrow, then someone gives you money with a very high interest rate, just because you are already at the wall, you have already been placed at the wall, you just accept without looking at a scenario on how you're going to pay back this money. It is also very challenging. So let's avoid that. If we avoid that, then you will not fall into debt. You can use the little you have. Actually, me, before, I used to have a policy that whatever I cannot do cash, then it is not my size. But then I realized that, that one sometimes, if you want to do something bigger, then maybe you may need to get some loan somewhere. You need some to borrow, especially if you have built your credit worthiness portfolio, if you have increased it. So let's teach people to diversify what they do. Diversify your portfolio. Instead of depending on one income, let's see if you have a side hustle. Let's see if you have a side kind of income. You can even provide a service, because like right now, to us, sometimes I'm paid to just go and talk to a group. Yeah, to just go and talk to them. And do you know what I do? I had to brand myself. To brand myself is to add value on myself. Not only what I studied in class, not only what I studied in school, but every day is a learning moment for me. And whatever I learn, I always want to share it with people. And if I see it is educative and it is able to change their lives. So if you have that heart of giving and sharing, then you are caring. And therefore, people will look for you even to provide the services that you never thought about.
Okay.
Yeah.
There is something you talked about. You say that people should mind, especially when they're paying attention to investment. But we also have problems when it gets to investment. People make a lot of mistakes when investing. For instance, it has been a season of coffee in villages. Very many people have reaped lots of money out of coffee, and then someone thinks this is now the booming business, so they get all their savings and invest into this seasonal business. In the next season, the prices fall, and then you regret.
Now, talk about that. There is a season when vanilla was vanilla. You remember?
Yes.
When vanilla was vanilla, and people invested in vanilla.
And the
at the end
moringa.
of the day, yes, and the moringa, then what? So that is more or less like impulse kind of purchasing that we talked about. Whereby you just go with, there is what we call bandwagon effect. So bandwagon effect in economics means you are just following people, but you are not doing your own prior kind of thinking. But there is one thing I love. There is Chairman Mao, the once president of China. He said that if two people seem to be agreeing all the time, it means that one of them is not thinking. So do you know what he meant? He said that if you just follow, you are just following. You are not thinking. You hear someone is doing this, he has made money in coffee, and you also want to do it. I have seen people who sell tomatoes, and the whole stretch is tomatoes. Like you go to Western Uganda, there is a place where they sell sweet potatoes and the whole stretch is sweet potatoes. You're like, but can someone just add in something different and then be innovative and see how much market he can have for that case if you are unique. So the opposite of bandwagon is snob appeal. Snob appeal is when you do something unique to yourself and then people follow you because you are doing something which they don't know, which they don't have. So to be a snob appealist, you need to be very innovative and creative, so that yes, we may all be selling sweet potato, but how can I add in value in that sweet potato to make it different from the way other people are doing it? So let's learn these two things as a takeaway today home. One is snob appeal and bandwagon. Bandwagon is when you just follow others sheepishly without thinking, and snob appeal is when you say, me, I have to do something unique and different, and therefore if you do it uniquely, it will pay you back. So you can continue.
Wow. We have about 2 minutes to go, or 2 or 3. But Doctor, I would like you to still on investment. You've given us those 2 take-home words, but I also look at a situation. You say that creativity, and we have a common saying down there. For instance, when you go to a place, they will tell you, you cannot find this kind of product in this place. So this place is known for stationery. When you go to Nasa Road, this is known for stationery, this is known for printing, this is known for this, and you find whoever comes there is supposed to do that kind of business. Someone says, if you bring our clothes here, they'll never work. So in other words, they're like saying there's nothing new you're bringing on board. Everything has been done, so you're only adding on what others have done.
Do you know someone who is very creative will just go to, shop the clothes and carry them to that place where there is a printer, because he will say, now in this printing place, these people are always busy. They don't even have time to go and do what?
Buy clothes.
And buy clothes. So when you could your clothes there, do you know how much money you can make because they don't have time to do
Buildings
that?
don't allow hawkers in.
My friend. So those are, yes, of course every business has a barricade, but you deal with it. So let me summarize just these few things.
Yes.
And one is, like we said, these are common mistakes. I gave you the common mistakes,
yes,
but I need to give you just the nuggets of how to avoid those common mistakes before we close this session. One is, let's learn how to budget and keep the emergency fund. Okay? Then let's strategize savings. Okay? Savings, we're using the other 30, 50, 30, 20, kind of Jewish kind of saving. Then let's try to prioritize the needs and wants by making that scale of preference. And finally, let's try to only spend on what we have budgeted. Okay? And there we shall be saving. Then, in addition to that, let's be creative in what we are doing. So as we are creative, then we will be saving more money, and it will help us to come up out or stand out of the crowd. Yes, standing out of the crowd. Henceforth, the snob appeal effect that I talked about.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Doctor, for these brilliant insights that you have shared with us. I know, I always dedicate such shows to young people who are in the second, third floors, and maybe the fourth floor. Jonan is in the forthcoming.
The fourth estate.
The forthcoming. Doctor, you want peace after this show? He's in the forthcoming. But I mean, I dedicate this show to such people because I believe we are the most vulnerable bracket, especially when it gets to financial mistakes. Yet we have a lot to do. We have a lot to build in our generation. We do not want to be that generation which they'll ask, what did you do when you were still young? Well, Jonas says twachakala twalyako bye twalya ebyasigaira omusayi muto. Well, we do not want to be that kind of generation. We want to be a generation that used their time very, very well. That is why it is always important that you listen to these insights, but also put them into practice. They will help you. And we are optimistic that together we can cause a change. We shall not cry with others because we have God, and a very big God who owns the world and its fullness. Edwin Austin Mukalazi is my name. I've worked with Norman Conte, Omulangira. Do you also call yourselves Omulangira? Or Omulangira? Omulangira Webula Moji. And then Jonah Giallo. Omulangira Wewane. And there are very many other people out there who do all lots of work to see that you have this image on your TV. And from the entire team, it's a good night. We'll meet again tomorrow.
This is Church of Uganda.